So grateful for this time together that we get to share about our divine community. So grateful for this time together to have open hearts, open minds as we open our annual meeting. And for this, I am so grateful. As we all say together, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for staying around, staying a little bit long today. And we're excited to share about everything that we have done in the past year. I have to kind of admit, when I joined the board, I think that I kind of had a picture in my head. You know, we were coming through the transition, and we were going to complete those things and, you know, work on projects and get to this shiny little thing that's all done. And every time as we're working, then there's something else that unfolds, unravels, changes. And so this almost may be like a Captain Obvious moment, but I've come to realize that it's all about the journey, not the destination. We're not arriving somewhere. We're continuously learning, growing, unfolding, evolving, expanding. And so, yes. My wife is reminding me to introduce myself. I am Ian Overholt, and I am the chair on the Leadership Council here at Pacific Coast. And so I do actually want to go over who is actually on the Leadership Council. We have Marjorie Ray, who started in 2018. Tori Senna in 2019. Debbie Ann Vokes in 2019. Terry Anderson in 2023. Carlos Mora in 2024. And me in 2024. I should also note that Debbie Ann is the secretary, Terry is the treasurer, Carlos is the vice chair, and I am the chair. And Tori and Debbie Ann are going to be, well, we're leaving the council effectively today, as we are welcoming in new members, and that's what the paddles are for, a little bit further on. Okay, so on to what we have done, we've been working on this year. The first one that I wanted to highlight is the top, the spiritual cooperative community. This is a new strategy that we really started putting into practice this last year. It came out of a board retreat at the end of 2024, and this is really when we do the vision statement saying we are creating a healthier foundation that supports and engages a whole beloved community equipped to launch new strategies for a thriving spiritual center. That's what it is. This is all of the different care teams that operate using the care model that allow all the members of the church to contribute, in an easy way, so that it's your center. It's not owned. It's not a top-down thing. It's everybody's on the same level, and we're all making it happen, and we're all growing together. And then some of the things on the business side. This last year, we, as part of the transition, officially dissolved the Namaste organization. And we also have a new 501c3 that is completely separate from the home office. Because I don't know how much of you are aware, but there have been some concerns for the stability of home office. And so we're just we have a backup. We know that everything will happen as it should, but we also are protected. Another major thing that we did, and part of the things that were not really planned, was transitioning our senior minister from our beloved Bobby Becker to Reverend Veronica. And we're just so blessed to have such amazing ministers. And Bobby has been instrumental really in helping to put so much of this foundation together that we're still building upon. So we're very grateful. Also, we had an amazing wedding that was in October and really pushed our facilities to the limit. And financially, we've done a few. We'll have more on the finances later, but we had 2 pledge drives. We had an additional fundraising campaign and a golden envelope at the end of the year. On facilities, which is another thing that has taken up a lot of our time and effort, we had repainted the entire interior of the sanctuary. That was a wonderful project of Janine and Melissa. We're very grateful that they loved painting. We had some roof repair. We changed signs. We got a new electronic sign. I'm sure you've seen it. We had always upgrades to the AV system, putting the wiring up in the drop ceiling so that it wasn't down on the floor for people to trip on. Replaced some things that quit working, like some of these monitors. Put another monitor in the children's room. And the fundraiser that we had for the water filling station in the back that I hope everyone is taking good advantage of. And then finally, there was plumbing, and more plumbing, which we'll also talk about in the finance section. On the staff side, contracts, volunteers, we expanded our marketing by having now a dedicated volunteer for social media, where it was another hat that John was wearing. John has put on so many hats, and we're so grateful. He's waving. You can barely see him behind all of the stuff back there. And headphones. We've got rentals. There's 2 different AA groups, the Compulsive Eaters Anonymous, and then also the Long Beach Zen Meditation group. We have now added, for our youth program, childcare coming twice a month to reduce the load on our youth director, Wenda, and allow her to participate in Circle Sundays. We've changed the cleaning service, and it's been working. We've had a lot less complaints about dirty floors. And then, as I'm sure you're aware that our office administrator, Berta, went out on maternity leave at the end of the year, and so we kind of had to scramble, and spread those tasks among council members, and also hire Stephanie, who worked with Namaste, and she's working remotely with us. And now I want to go on to our membership. So in this last year, we welcomed some new members. And if you're here, if you could just stand so we could acknowledge you. So we had Janae Patino, Terry Scaleri, Linda Thompson, Aaron Crutcher, and Elizabeth Guzman. Thank you for saying yes to joining our center. I also want to acknowledge people who are still with us, but they have physically moved. And that's why I said they're far away, but so close. They're always in our hearts. We had Maria, Dale, and then Jan and Beth Mason, obviously Reverend Bobby Becker, and Janine Cochran Becker, and of course Nala. Everybody misses Nala. Debbie Ann Vokes, and then Glenn and Debbie Motz. And then the last thing on membership, we wanted to acknowledge people who had made their transitions in the last year. So we had Reverend Margie Clark, who was actually a senior minister here some years ago, before I joined. Then Bertha Moreno, who was a Namaste member, and Tony Davis. And so we're coming to the end of this section, and I want you to get your paddles ready, because this is where the community votes to affirm the new members of the Leadership Council. We are blessed with two amazing people who said yes to join in the council. Erin Crutcher is just absolutely incredible. She's had some amazing life experiences. She's got experience with other board of directors for other organizations. She's an advocate for people with different physical abilities, and we really look forward to her contribution on the Leadership Council. Also, we have Steve Wells. Steve was part of the team that did the fundraising that involved the Duffy boat rides that I didn't get a chance to do, so I hope we're going to do that again, because that sounded like a lot of fun. We do have other things that we have to fundraise for, I'll tell you that. He's also an engineer, like myself, and no, scientist. Well, okay. Science, engineering, they're kind of hand in hand. Also, someone with financial experience and doing his own kind of post-career financial enterprise. So I would like to ask everyone to, with their paddles, to either say, hold it up and say, yes, I affirm. And obviously you have the no side, but we'll go around and we'll count everyone that affirms these new members to our Leadership Council. And just keep it up so we can count. So how many, who's online, April? Just Becker, Reverend Bobby Becker? Okay. 32. And it appears to be unanimous from what I can tell. So thank you, guys. And that wraps it up for me. So I think we start with Bobby. So can we get her on the screen? How does this work? We see April.
I can't. Yeah, give me a second.
Hey!
Hello, everyone. I can't see you, but I'm going to guess who's there can see me. So April, just nod, make sure. Okay, great. It's good to be here, and it's good to watch the Care Circle today and see what's going on and be here for the annual meeting. This, of course, will be my last one, and I wasn't even going to be here, but Rev Veronica and I spoke about who should present this first part, and at her request, I said, of course, I can present this. So I'm going blind. I don't see the slides up, so I'm guessing we have Shaping the Future of the Community. The spiritual community is up. Is that correct? No? I'm just going to wait for someone to tell me that slide is up on the room.
We're trying to figure out how we can get maybe a split screen or something.
They're asking you.
Let's see.
I can do it. How about I do it?
Yes, please.
How about I do it?
Yes, please.
Okay, 1 second here. I love how technology works. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think I got it now. How about now?
Yay!
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
it is up.
I'm glad I can work technology on my end too. So here we go. I see Rev Veronica in the back there. So hi, Rev Veronica. It's good to see you. So shaping the future of our spiritual community, this is the work that I'm reporting on January through August of 2025 when I was operating as the senior minister, as we were walking through a pretty significant transition and still working on some basic infrastructure with respect to policies, procedures, et cetera. In this particular case, the emphasis on this period was spiritual practice as a path of transformation. Things like, how do we walk through change? What are the spiritual practices we can engage, considering that change is the constant? Living the principles of what we teach, not just learning about them, but actually putting them in practice. For those of you that participate in Care Circle Sunday, that was a continuation so that we went a little deeper at least once a month if you weren't in class. And if you were in class, you got that first step, and then you could move into a deeper discussion and study. Compassionate accountability is a community value. There were a lot of things that we walked through this last couple of years, and oftentimes as the spiritual leadership, we were putting into practice the combination of having crucial conversations as well as bringing compassion into it, but compassionate accountability, which means at times we had to make tough decisions in the board and the spiritual leadership. We did that often through the last couple of years and really bringing that framework of how to have those kinds of conversations. Encouraging resilience during ongoing cultural and personal change. I can speak to that myself. And as we've walked through this last year, we went through that change both personally and as a community. We've seen lots going on globally and being able to walk through that. And when I use the term resilience, I don't just mean willing it. I mean using our tools and also practicing grace as we do that. And then seeing the transition of spiritual leadership. I am super grateful that we were able to walk through this in the intentional way that we did, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Before I transitioned out, we developed, I would say, probably about 21 policies to support our organization so that we had in writing consistency and policies to how we operate both from a financial, operational, and even spiritual leadership, so that we weren't ad hoc or going, this is how we used to do it, but we actually came in agreement about how the way we operate in our spiritual community ethically and responsibly that we should do. And the board has taken those to take them the next step for both finalization and approval. So for community care and congregational support, as a senior minister, one of the biggest tasks we have is to be holding space. Community care is and support is something we do. It's not something we do. For example, it's not the first thing we do. It's not the thing that takes that should take a lot of our effort, but it is something that does take a lot of resilience on our part to walk through so much of what the individual walks through, and then the community, some of the challenges the community walks through. Here's a list of just some of the things the senior minister supports the community members in. And then reinforce the need for a sustainable care model. The care model is really important. It matters how we are more than what we accomplish. Because in the end, if we get it done and we haven't cared about folks, then we're not really a sustainable, compassionate community. So our practitioners are trained, our lay leaders are trained, we have clear systems for ongoing care. One of the things that is happening is we do have a community care team, and that is getting moved, continues to move forward, but just under Veronica now. And then spiritual education and curriculum development. We did I developed a whole new class last year and rolled it out in January called What Do We Believe? We had a significant amount of members in the community participate, and it was really to explore, well, what do we think about these spiritual principles, that these statements, declarations of belief that we have in Science of Mind, and what do I really believe? And that was a 6-week class, and it was really interesting and a lot of insight, ahas, and at the end, folks walked away with a statement of beliefs or statements of belief. And then Reverend Juanita and I put together a foundational class redesign. We rolled that out in March. And that was also a 6-week series. Those were 2 big classes that were completely redesigned for the year, which is something I love to do. I love to create curriculum like that. The mentoring and transitional support, I'm not sure, we've talked a little bit about this, but I wanted to explore this with you as a reminder. One of the most important areas of ministry, one of my big focuses, and as well as Rev Veronica, was for intentional mentoring in preparation for her to step in as a senior minister. You don't know it till you do it. But how amazing is it if a senior minister can hang out, at least walk with an incoming minister, and then hang out afterwards and do mentoring and counsel with them, which this is my last month, the 6 months after I've left, that concludes that. We had regular meetings since she was identified as the candidate. We talked about prioritizing what is essential in the first year of ministry. We've just done a big debrief, and she's looking at, well, what's going to happen with her next 6 months and even the entire year. Observing systems is really important for a new senior minister, so they're rolling out what the community needs, not just what pulls me. Strengthening delegation pathways. She knows what her role is, what the board's role is, what the team roles are, and encouraging the development of strong operational and HR practices. Sometimes senior ministers come in and they don't manage, and which is hire, fire, train, et cetera. And so it's really been working with Rev Veronica so she feels comfortable in that. And then really helping her supporting a sustainable rhythm. This job is all about rhythm. And when we're out of rhythm, we get burnout. And it's really important to put a container around it, have good, strong boundaries. She has definitely demonstrated consistent growth as a leader, particularly in her emotional steadiness. Not perfection, folks, steadiness. Clear discernment, being to step in and have the discernment of a senior minister, which sometimes is we let things fail. Sometimes it means that we just see where things are going. We don't always step in right away. And when we do step in, it's because it's necessary or needed in that moment because of our experience, expertise, and spiritually guided. And then increasing her confidence as a space holder and spiritual guide. Most often, senior ministers for the first time step in and they have absolutely very little support. And you'd have to ask Rev Veronica on this note is, how did it feel for her to have this support from the community as well as the outgoing senior minister and the board? And then lastly, just kind of a brief overview, supporting, continuing, and strengthening our organizational structure, constant refining of Sundays and making sure that there's a steady framework, building stability in the preparation for the transition, staying spiritually grounded through change. That's up to us as spiritual leaders, is to make sure that we're spiritually grounded. And that in itself is almost a full-time job. And Rev Veronica might be shaking her head right now with a few extra gray hairs in her first 6 months. We completed the transitional programming, as well as what I think is really important. John in the back of the room right there, and I know Matt's not there today, but that guy right back there is one of the most important people in that community. And he done an amazing job, and it was really important to make sure he had the equipment, the technology and systems so that he can operate Sundays, classes, and make sure that our technology runs smoothly. And that's not mine. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to ask if there's any questions.
Any questions? Yes, Lily, do you mind coming to the microphone?
Maybe you could put the camera up so I can see who's coming up.
Reverend Bobby, it's Lily. And it's a personal
Hi, Lily.
question. How has it been for you to make this transition in your new home away from being the leader of our great community here? How has it been for you, Janine and Nala?
Well, thank you, Lily. That's a very sweet question. I can honestly say that as far as living up in the Pacific Northwest, it's stunning. I feel like my eyes are satiated with the greenness and abundance of that green. So that part's really wonderful. Nala's doing really, really well. She has a new companion, and her name is Olive, and she's an Australian Shepherd. And I think they term Australian Shepherds as 2-year-old ADD pterodactyls. That is what Olive is. She's really good with Nala, and they seem to be doing super well. We're about to take her on her first trip. Janine has so much to do around here. I'm exhausted. She has forests to clear and a lawn bigger than she could imagine to mow, and just plenty of things to do. And she's just doing really well. My own transition out of ministry, while I still feel it, I think it's going to take about a year. This first 6 months was decompressing. I think I'm finally feeling a little bit of relief in decompressing. I'm probably in the last month. And I'm excited to see what that feels like as I continue to move through this to whatever is coming next, which is the vision is pulling us. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Bobby. Any additional questions? Okay.
Veronica, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
How are you doing?
You know what? I am thoroughly enjoying myself. I was born to do this. You know what? Is it easy? Not all the time. I say yes to that too. It's not easy, but yet I have such support here. Such beautiful, loving people who are so committed to our community. It just makes it easier. And so we are so blessed. We are so blessed. And with regards to your question as to how has it been to have a mentor for 6 months who has been the senior minister at the center, I don't know how other new senior ministers do it without a mentor, or even the mentor that just left the center who knows the systems that are in place and the policies and the people. That makes it even better and stronger. And so this system that we put together, this mentoring, is really a blessing. And I think it should be how all senior ministers transition into these new roles, because many of you might think that being a senior minister is just about showing up on Sunday. But then there's what happens Monday through Saturday that is like a CEO, type of organizational, management. So it's been a blessing and a huge learning curve. And I was going to start out my slides by saying, I've been drinking from a fire hose. that's what it's been, and so grateful for the support. So, yes. So.
Well, she's amazing, and we're just blessed to have you in place. I mean, it's just really been a joy to watch you. So I'm grateful I got to be part of it. So thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So Reverend Bobby was here through the first 3 quarters of the year, so I'll do my quarter. And just for your knowledge, what Reverend Bobby, this transition that we've done together over the last 6 months, and it's been longer because once she knew that she was ready to transition, she grabbed me and we started then ground zero, probably, I don't know, May maybe it was. And so it's been almost a year, and this is not common. I want you to know that. This is not common for Centers for Spiritual Living. We are recreating the wheel here in a new way that supports our community. I couldn't imagine walking into a community where I don't know anyone, starting a job that I don't know what's involved, and continuing to help the community to flourish and thrive. And so this is a compassionate mentoring program that Reverend Bobby created for our community, to have compassion for us, because we know transitions are not easy. So we are so blessed. We are so blessed. And thank you, Reverend Bobby. Thank you. Yes. So my transition, July for me kind of delineates the beginning, because that's when I became ordained as a minister within CSL. I passed all the panels and all the processes, and have been blessed as an ordained minister. And that's part of our celebration coming up in March, is the actual ordination, which means that you're a minister for life. You're a minister for life. And I myself, I'm dedicated to spiritual growth and to God, and to helping others recognize that within themselves. And so that was in July, and then September was my official start date, September 1st, and we launched. And like I said, I was meeting once a week with Reverend Bobby through each thing that came up for that week, things that were going to be coming. Like, I walked in and AIF was getting ready to launch, right, at Adventures in Faith, our book study. So how do you do Adventures in Faith from the senior minister position? And so I learned that. We walked through that. And then after that came our beautiful wedding. And then we walked through, from a senior minister's perspective, how do we walk through these plumbing issues and things that occurred. And so it's a different perspective that I'm learning, a new set of glasses, if you will. And then right after that came December, and our winter solstice program came. And I laugh in hindsight. You know how they say ignorance is bliss, and sometimes it is, because I didn't realize what I was taking on when I said I want as many community members as possible participating in our solstice program. That was my vision. Because I wanted to be community. And so we did it. We had over 30 people involved in that solstice program. And it was everyone did an amazing job, and it was a challenge, and we did it. We did it together as a community, and it was beautiful. And my big learning curve over the last quarter of the year has just been becoming familiar with all of the teams, their roles, the systems that are put in. We have great systems in place. I want to tell you this. All of the different teams that we put together, to the Leadership Council, the Practitioner Corps, those are our leadership teams. We navigated the relicensing of practitioners at the end of the year. That was new. We have our spiritual education team. These classes, like Dr. JJ's Graceology, these are as a result of our spiritual education team. And we have a great spiritual education team. And so we started looking, what do we want to bring? What do we want to bring to 2026 for our community to help grow and unfold into our next level? And our cleaning up together, right, from mess to mastery. What classes do we want to provide? And so that's what we started looking at from the spiritual education team standpoint. And we have our steering committee, which are all the leaders that come together, and we discuss what's going on in the center, all of the leaders. And this is beautiful, because there's different perspectives. I'm sharing this with you so that you can see what's going on behind that's on Monday through Friday or Saturday, right? So you can see the collaboration that's going on behind the scenes that creates this center, the infrastructure of this center. And we have the marketing team and our community care team that Reverend Bobby touched on, a beautiful team that we're still blossoming into what we want to be, to care for our community when they are in need. And so that's our community care team. and our fundraising team, and I started to become more familiar with all the budgeting and finance and payroll systems that are in place, and learning about, I'm I'll say I'm getting better. Thought I was good at spreadsheets until I met Chris Shriver and Bobby Becker. And they are like on steroids, the spreadsheet gurus, okay? So I'm stepping up my game in the spreadsheet world, but it's amazing, to be honest with you. It's amazing what we have in place in our budgeting, finance, and payroll systems. And then lastly, I started in September, and then our administrative assistant went on maternity leave. And so all of the tasks, when you have a person that you can say, hey, can you, and then they're not there any longer, you're like, hey, can you, and then it's like, this way. So there was that as well. So it's been a learning curve indeed, but the beauty of it is that I know that through my spiritual practices, I can stay centered within all of it, and that I'm supported by people. I'm supported by people who practice the care model. And we practice the care model, and we practice the values that we have here at Pacific Coast: extraordinary respect, accountability, safety, and compassion. And when you are held by the care model and our values, we can walk through anything. We can walk through anything. And so that is my report for 2025. And what's on the horizon for 2026? Well, let's create it together. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. More just as are you giving a report on that? I don't want to. Yes, I'll let them talk about that. The finance report. All right, I'm going to hand it over.
All right. Thank you. Okay, I am going to start off the finance report. Our treasurer, Terry, is just had a heck of an illness, so he's not able to be with us today. So it's going to be slightly abridged, and but we know everything is all good. So this is our financial summary, and we're presenting this as a draft financial summary. What that means is, like, these numbers are accurate, but there's some more due diligence that we have to do in the review with Terry, with Stephanie, who's our temporary assistant. All of the categories and codes and the things that make up the different expenses. Like, the expenses are the number that you see here, but what the individual things were, that still has to get reviewed. So we as a council owe this information to you as a community, so we will present the final report by the end of next month. So that being said, for 2025, you can see here our general contributions were $153,000. We had an operating income of $207,000, with expenses slightly above at $213,000. We do have plenty of reserves, so that's, we try to get as close to even as possible, and sometimes there's a little bit more and sometimes there's a little bit less, and it all kind of works out. In these bottom two lines, we do have investments. And so those investments increased by $20,000. Now, that's just money that we don't actually plan to use, but it's there, part of the reserve cushion, should it ever be needed. And so when you take what we got from the investments compared to what we spent and what came in from all our income, we ended up at a net $14,000. Okay? And I'm going to bring Marjorie up to go through some of the other details. Were there any questions for the first part?
Okay. There you go. All right. So this year, we completed the year-long treasurer transition process from myself to Terry. And I will also say we set up a financial team, actually the beginning of this year, I think. And it is made up of the past treasurer, oh, there we go. Okay. We developed a finance team which meets once a month, comprised of the current treasurer, the past treasurer, and the treasurer to be, plus Reverend Veronica, and the administrator. She's here, but she's remote. So that is going to keep our sustainability going. We developed a new one-page summary that we present to the board each month, excuse me, along with items that they have found that we needed to work on. I didn't know I had. We are also implementing and expanding security processes and awareness, creating a secure electronic database, which is really what's going on now. Terry is one of those people that is really into the details and making sure that they are all right where they're supposed to be. So the numbers we know are all right. We don't want to make it official until we have it all correct by Terry's standards, which means it's 150% correct. Oh my goodness, yes. I'm doing this. There we go. There you go. All right. So we had fundraisers. We had the Duffy boat, and that paid for the drinking water fountain. We want to encourage you to bring water bottles and fill them at the fountain so we don't use so many glasses. We had the Golden Envelope. The Golden Envelope brought in $9,105. I'll take a clap on that one. In 2000, just for context, in 2024, we had 6,922, which we thought was good, but look what we did this year. Yay. We had a pledge drive, and 46 people pledged for a total of 107,916. Yay. Now, this is an old building. And for many years, because we didn't have a lot of money and we didn't have a lot of people, we deferred a lot of stuff. So we've been paying. In 2024, we had roof repairs and a few other repairs. In 2025, we had a two-way sewer line clean-out in the alley and a hydro flushing and repairs of the current system. And the board has confirmed or voted for and decided that we should actually do something that's going to make the plumbing more secure so we don't have to keep going through. Most of us have been through several times of when the plumbing fails. So they are repairing the entire line with a hydrojet, a descale, which smooths it out, and then a spray of epoxy, which is a hard curing and will strengthen the system that we have. And according to the law of circulation, we contribute or invest in communities. And we had set $4,123 to 13 different organizations throughout our community. And that is it. So, are there any questions on the finances? Yes. Well, what we did was we patched.
So does that mean that those expenses that were deferred, does that mean they are going to be done this year?
Yes. The $20,000 should cure our plumbing problem for many years. So, and that was one that we kept patching. And then the patch didn't hold. So now we're going to fix it with something that's, yeah. Any other questions? Yes, oh, and that will be done tomorrow. They started it last week, and then they had to cut off for one day because it was raining, and they're going to finish it tomorrow. We'll be able to flush with ease and grace.
And that's all, folks. Thank you. Thank you so much for your participation, your heartfelt support, and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's pray. Let's pray us out. And thank you to our presenters and for Terry for putting the numbers together and for everyone, for Carlos for doing the membership portion and the paddles and everyone who contributed to Reverend Bobby and everyone who contributed to our meeting here today. Let's just take a breath here. Let's just take a breath. It may appear that there are many putting this together, but there's only one. There is only one working in, through, and as each of us. And I am so grateful for this beloved community we call Pacific Coast Centers for Spiritual Living. So grateful for the good stewardship held here today. And I'm so grateful for our members and all who walk through our doors, that we are all touched, moved, and inspired by our community, by our cooperative community. So grateful indeed. I am so thankful, and I know that as we move on to whatever it is, wherever we're going, that we take the heart of Pacific Coast with us to share in this world. I'm so grateful indeed as I release this prayer, knowing that it is done, as we say together. And so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful Sunday.